Hi, I'm Daniel from the Server Center, and today we're going to be looking at the Dell PowerEdge 1955 Blade servers. And what this is basically a chassis that holds 10 blades. Each blade is the equivalent of a 1950 server, PowerEdge 1950 server. They have shared resources in terms of power and network connectivity, but that's all. Each server itself is a completely separate memory, processors, hard drives, everything, and it is a self-contained system. The equivalent of the previous model was the 1855. As you can see, they're very similar. You basically can't tell unless you open them up or you look at the front very carefully. The differences being that the memory in the 1855 is slightly slower, and the 1855 uses traditional SCSI drives, whereas the 1955 uses the newer serial attached SCSI, which obviously is a lot faster, and you can actually interchange with serial ADA drives as well, which is very handy if you need high space and don't mind losing a bit of speed. These are the network controllers at the back. That actually works as a switch. This is the DRAC and KVM controller. These are used for remote controlling the server. There's more about that on the website. The DRAC system in particular is very poor from what we can tell, and freezes up and locks up quite often. The modules are all removable. This is the network controller. You can actually remove these modules while the server is running, and provided you've got at least one other module or power supply in this case plugged in, then you won't find any service loss. It'll actually remain powered up at all times. You can run the Blade Center with just one power supply in it, although it's not recommended, but you can do that. It'll probably speed up the fans to an unbearable noise level to compensate for the lack of other fans that might be in it from the power supplies, and these removable ones, as you can see, which are very robust, and we haven't had to replace any of these to date, so it's definitely a good system, very reliable. As you can see, the difference between the 1855 and 1955 is fairly hard to spot at first glance, but the hard drive layout is what gives it away. This is the cable that we use to add connectivity. The 1955 and 1855 don't come with any USB or VGA directly to the server itself, so you would need to use the DRAC system, and as we said, it's very poor. This cable allows you to plug in a USB CD-ROM drive and a keyboard and get yourself fired up. Once you've actually got it all configured and everything set up properly, the ideal thing would be to configure it remotely, which is what we do. The reason we don't use the DRAC system is because it is extremely slow. If indeed it even works, most of the time we can't actually get half of the features to work on the system itself. Connecting through the KVM system via the online controller on the DRAC is just a nightmare, and trying to link up resources, such as your local CD-ROM drive, to the DRAC system so you can do an install. We haven't actually been able to get it to work as of yet because the system just keeps freezing and crashing. The good news is you can quite happily move along without using the DRAC system, and even if it does crash, it doesn't affect the rest of the chassis. So generally speaking, we just leave it and move on via other means. The BIOS is a fairly standard PowerEdge 1950 server. All the options are there that you'd expect. You can enable your devices, you can change your boot sequence to boot from your USB CD-ROM drive, which you will need. Both the 1855 and 1955 Blade servers come with a built-in RAID system. Although it's fairly basic, it does exactly what you would want out of a 2 hard drive system, and it lets you mirror your data for redundancy or stripe it for extra space. We tend to go for the mirroring option. Well, thank you for watching our short tour of the Blade servers, and if you want any more information about this or anything else to do with Dell servers, please visit our website, www.server-center.net.